All right, let's continue. So I can't leave out time frames. So it's not like, and you be, I don't know if y'all in tune like that, but it's a lot of stories that talk about underground cities and underground cultures and all that. Well, anything that was underground was romanticized into a value for you to love it, but it was really a part of the fallen. So it took them a long time to get their culture together, and these cultures that they were trying to make were underground. They kept coming out flawed. They kept coming out like looking like this and looking like that, and having just so many different, shortcomings to looking like a divine being. So not for nothing, a lot of the original beings were able to procreate all over the earth. This is the golden ages. Was the golden ages. Like, so certain things would take place, but it wouldn't be to where it wasn't settled real fast. You know what I'm saying? It was settled really, really fast. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people didn't get a chance to see it. This is why they kept increasing, because how it was settled so fast. So then a lot of the coaches that you have today, and I hate to focus on it, they actually put a capstone on it, but this whole thing that you got nowadays when females fly to Dubai and they get crapped on and pissed on, those are creations of the fallen. That's why they like doing that. The land of love, which was America, Amari means love. Amare is love. So America is a place where the children of Sheba came. You know what I'm saying? This was the last bit of pure divine energy that was stored in the divine creations. You know what I'm saying? So it was sent over here. That's why you had the feathers in their head. It was representing what? The light, like it's like sunshine light. You know what I'm saying? That's where the feathers come from and all that. That represents like light coming off the head to keep you in mind of where you're going, where you're going to rise to. So that was what was supposed to happen, right? But it got to the point to where it went from being plentiful of divine energy everywhere to it being diluted because of manipulation was easily ready. As soon as they got a percentage of the manipulation in you or a percentage of that fallen blood in you, then that's where it came at. So that's all it took to make somebody change their mind and actually not stand up for the right thing. This is what makes people fail. This is what makes people go against their own cultures, what makes people liars, cheaters, stealers, and all this other shit. Like, it's not them, it's what's inside of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes them like that. Because you got to keep in mind, none of those characters are coming from divine beings. It don't come from anything that's connected to the Most High. You can manipulate them into that back then and now even more, but it's not something that comes with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Almighty don't concept reality that way. So you have now places where this energy is familiar. Now, this is the clincher in the story. Like the divine being said to the fallen, what divine sent out is gonna come back the same way it happened. So even after they was released and they, you get all this Jerusalem and Jesus stories and all these craziness and Nimrod and all these falsities, right? Even with that going on, and these new implication of different cultures coming about, right? And people not knowing because they forgot, right? Even with all that taking place, what happened is that small percentage of divine energy that was in everything started being louder than the manipulation. So you had this thing where they called races, and it wasn't being racist. It was racing to increase the level of a culture. Cultures wasn't even a thing. It was a place. Like where people were, the place they were, they didn't call themselves black or white or nothing like that. It was where they were. So the morale of the fallen got hit hard. So this is where the African wars and the stories Anansi comes in, when you get like different primordial beings that ended up being classified as gods. You know what I'm saying? From one time to the next. So these stories and these particular people started playing roles in the balance of what was left because the agenda was already shot. You see what I'm saying? That what was supposed to happen was already shot. So this is where you get all these African stories, these deeper African stories where the Orishas come in at. The Orishas was some of the last ones to rise into their placement, but instead of them taking or going across the universe and becoming the divine light source for another situation, they decided to become spiritual police. And that's what their roles was. Is where you get Abatala, Oshun, Ogun, all of them. And they had their own little beef. You know what I'm saying? You know the story about them. They had their own little problems too. All that came in from fallen energy, but they had to work that out if they wanted to take that pantheon spot. So after they worked that out, everybody started playing different roles. And every so often, you get new ones that come in. Kakumbo, Locale, Amagumu, you know what I'm saying? You get new ones that come in, you know what I'm saying, every so often. And this is angelic energy that comes down and takes the form into, physical bodies to play a stronger role out of the manipulation and the defecation that takes place here to help destroy or defile the word or the name of the Most High that speaks life. So over a period of time, we were able to multiply, and cover the whole earth because the creation was still being formulated underground, you know what I'm saying? And then that creation was guided out. This is where you get Kemet, Egypt, and stuff like that. And then, you get the formalization of Iraqi people, Greece, Rome, where you start getting, even if you go to the Chinese stories, they show you it was like a little girl and a little boy. They came walking out of the woods, but they were purple. And after a period of time, they started turning white. You know what I'm saying? But it was really the other way around. They never turned. They never was purple. They came out. They was just super, super pale. You know what I'm saying? So this is where you get the other cultures that claim that they're this or they're that, but they're super, super white. No, they're versions, right? They're versions. I digress. So now you got what we call cultures. You know what I'm saying? You got, all these different, and then the religion come out, and then you got, Christianity, Muslim, you got all this other stuff, Arabs, Indias, and you got the Krishna, and you got the elephant head creature and all that. It wasn't really like, I ain't about to specify. I could really go deep in on that, and that'll take me off this story, but I don't really want to because I'm trying to stay in tune to the actual story and bring it all the way up to present date. So, and we 8 minutes in already. So this is now the ending of the golden ages starts taking place. This is the ending of the golden ages when you have Germany, the Nazis, the Europeans, when first everything was black everywhere, but you still had this implication of fallen energy in the melanated culture. This is where you started getting different sets. Like the Pope was first black, like Pope James, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a brother. He had curly hair, smooth skin, you know what I'm saying? Wore the whole outfit, you know what I mean? And it was a bunch of them. It wasn't just one black brother that was the Pope. It was like the whole pantheon. The royal families, the crest and all that, that was like symbolic to something, but they needed that. They needed that to give title to something that they forgot. And they didn't even understand what this was. That was just them being brought low now from divine beings or divine seeds into people. So yeah, we was all over the earth, but we didn't know once we came. It was like some symbolic reason to that, but we didn't know. So that was readily easy to manipulate because now you get these classes or you get these groups of families that want to separate themselves from the original aspect of who they're connected to or what they came from. That was in hindsight to the fallen being separate from where divine had them placed at. You know what I'm saying? So they were supposed to be divine angels or whatever in service to the Most High through unconditional love, and that energy was readily put into people of color or divine children or seeds of the divine, and this is where you started getting classifications. So now you get the death of the original leprechauns, you know what I'm saying? Me, the Naga, you know what I'm saying? Like the curly hair, you know what I'm saying? My nana and my grandma was short. They was like 5 feet. My mom, she's short, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the original leprechaun. We was able to change the atmosphere. It was like the last of a few beings that exist. It was the last of them, you know what I'm saying? It was no more. So they like desecrated the whole nation, you know what I'm saying, that our ancestors came from, you know what I'm saying? But that was them killing off the divine seed. And some of the families took the names, and they were now in the look of the divine beings, but they were the descendants of the fallen. So this is where division actually came from. What happened to the fallen became a thing that took place. So because the fallen was separated, they used that as a tactic to divide up the divine seed. So this is now you got cultures and stuff like that. So so with that being said, they went through and they killed everybody. The Twa, everything that had any original essence. So then the Dogon came. They walked. I ain't gonna even say that's when they came, but they literally walked here to bring divine energy back. You know what I'm saying? They walked in this universe to bring divine energy back. Like, it's so much more that goes with this concept of these wars of trying to unstabilize the balance of what's here, right? Or what was supposed to be here. And they're still trying to do this to sell the value of it short. Like, yo, divine ain't gonna reign supreme here. We gonna run it. You know what I'm saying? And then they keep getting knocked down. It's like, so you got platforms, and the platform will get knocked down, the whole thing will get dropped down underground, and it get covered over. This is why you got cities that are under cities. You know what I'm saying? And you keep going deeper. You find more cities under cities, cities on top of cities. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, all the different original tribes at one point started getting, and that was the filter of the universe trying to consolidate what was left of the divine seed. Like, you know, you had a tree grow, the tree of life, these different trees of life, you know what I'm saying? And then they would chop that down. That was symbolic to not them literally, they're chopping down the tree, but them chopping down the existence of what that divine energy was in. It got so crazy to where you even had Caucasian cultures that came up that had more divine energy in it, even though they was like 40% fallen angel. But they were Caucasian, like, you know what I'm saying? So when you want to talk about the Nazis, that's what Hitler was doing with those dudes. That's why they hate Hitler so much, because Hitler was like, how you gonna claim this when you a part of us? If that's who you is, then I don't know really what you talking about. Like, you going crazy right now. And it was actually something that went across the whole earth one time. This is after the golden ages was over. This is when you have more lighter tone cultures coming into the value, being solidified for a few hundred years in different areas and stuff like that. This is more of them coming out in the races. Like I told you, that people were racing to grow their particular value of a culture. So as they were doing this and increasing these cultures, you had somewhat of a treaty, a understanding saying, all right, look, everybody here, but, you know, we know we got pieces of each other in us type value. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a little bit there, a little bit there. But through the process, they don't even know how it came into fruition like that. They don't really know the science. But they chose to be cool. It's like, yeah, we going to be cool or whatever. We going to let it rock. So then they started eugenics. They started this. They started that. They started doing all these different things. This is only comfortable apartheidization to the value of the destruction of the name of the Most High. So you had a lot of pillage inside of their own cultures. People would do stuff to their own people. That's where you get the Jews from. The Jews was like, nah, we're not that, we're this. But they were too weak to be they were too weak to have that concept there. And that's why they had to run away from the Nazis, because the Nazis like, nah, we gonna kill you because you really us, and you trying to take claim to something else. Like, and they didn't concept that as a reality. So you got concentration camps and all that. This is where they even got even more mad because they're like, yo, why you want to be that story is deep right there. I don't even want to get into that, but that's what their problem was and why they lied about that. That's why they don't tell nobody. They just don't look at our story, like make us more important than everything else. Our story was the worst. No, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're really just having the concept of the fallen trying to be heard out of the fact of you taking something that wasn't yours in the first place. That's all from the fallen. They ain't one thing got nothing to do with the next. That's why they be in everybody business. You know what I'm saying? That's why they in everybody business, because they know exactly what they here for. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, deeper than that, you have all these fractions. So then the last stronghold was America. So they was like, yo, we get over there. That's where that juice at. It's like how dogs can see energy. It's like that. They can see where the divine light is. They've been eating it and devouring it and manipulating it for so long. Now they can see where it is. You know what I'm saying? So it became like a sight for them. So then you even get the Donner, the Donner Party. The Donner family they traveled across America, and they ran out of food when they got to the mountains over there by Texas or whatever, the mountains that separate California. They ate their grandmother. They ate the weakest ones. Like, you know what I'm saying? They was like, well, I'll just eat our family and we'll keep going. We'll make it to Cali. You know what I'm saying? That's the Donner Party. They're disgusting, yo. Like, so, and they don't even know it's an enzyme inside human people that if you eat them, it shortens your lifespan. So this is where you had the Caucasian culture that was dying like in their 30s and 40s and early 60s and like that. And they be looking mad old before their time and stuff like that. It's because majority of that DNA is relevant in their lineage of, them eating the original beings. So, so now you got different wars that are taking place. You have this population boom that just went everywhere, you know what I'm saying, over eons and shit. And then you have the wars that took place that they don't talk about no more. These are the divine wars, you know what I'm saying? This is like the fallen angels fighting against true divine seeds. And then what would help them fight would be the angels and then the voice of divine. Divine never comes for a fight. It's too much energy. Divine can't come within feet of its creation because their creation would recreate into something else. And the whole concept will be gone. Like, whatever the problem is, it'll be gone. Like, divine can't come to earth. You know what I'm saying? And be like, I'm here to see what's up with my seeds. No, it can't happen, because literally everything will go in that as a value. Like, everything will be charged with divine energy. Even the fallen would get all their energy back. Because just to hear or be graced by a motion of divinity, a true supreme, that true, source of energy, it boom fills it up like a water balloon. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why you'll never see divine come within the concept. That's why people be like, they don't believe in God and stuff like that, because divine's power is so strong, it can't never come around nothing, because it'll recreate it. It'll fill it up to be more than what it is. So these spots in the universe where the source energy is just to be a water fountain of pure divine energy. That's even when they get this imagination of the fountain of life. They're really talking about the source. That's what they're talking about, the source of that. So then you have the motion of the planet shifting and tectonic plates and all that moving around. That's because of how many, like, it was so much fighting. They kept getting knocked down underground. So the plates would move and then cover up. So imagine having the power to move a whole country, lift that shit up and sit it on somebody. You think it's a game. You think it's a game for real, for real. No, that's really what they were doing. They were dropping whole continents on motherfuckers, like, boom, like, you ain't never coming from up under that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so these wars will go on for a while. You had two sets of wars, and then the energy will come off of them and go into the people, and now you have wars on the earth. This is Gestapo, this is the Nazi war, the German war, World War I, II, and III. I said 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2, Civil War, all these things. That's where that energy is a spillover of these creations of divine still fighting, but they gonna fight forever. You know what I'm saying? So underground fighting and old cities that they find that are abandoned and stuff like that, and bones down there and giants and all this stuff. That's because of them crossing up this energy. Now, the big secret was to never let the creation that the fallen made know what they actually did. Because it's like divine could have created them the right way if the fallen had stayed in their place. So all the ailments that the Caucasians have and have to deal with is only because of the selfishness of your creator. So now divine says, what I sent out is going to come back how I sent it. So since you know that, your job is to submit to the true divine, not the one that helps you perpetrate the false value of how you live here. So as good as you want to be in your heart, that hatred that's deep down inside for some of them that they carry is not you. It's apartheid to what was stitched inside of you. So when they say they will do greater things, they're talking about this fallen energy that created y'all. Y'all gonna do greater than what the fallen did. You're gonna literally stand up out of pure unconditional love for the creator of all things. But that day has not come yet because you don't know this. And if you get this understanding down, you literally go against what falsely created you. This is why divine says you have to be patient. So therefore you can, so that beef that they had, it's not about a father and a son. They like to make it sound like that, the father and the son fighting and all that. Nah, it ain't got nothing to do with that. It's a disrespectful that didn't want to do their job. You know what I'm saying? And then they left y'all to take the responsibility. That's why they made y'all look like them. You know what I'm saying? So they wanted y'all to be the ones to carry that weight or that load so they don't have to be responsible for their own actions. So now you're praying to them, you're going to church, and you think you're talking to something else when you're talking to them. That lesser light that seems like it's the greater light. The halls of Amenti means the people. So the greater light will be inside the person. We carry a divine soul. You see what I'm saying? Divine light. You don't. You carry things that created that is of value inside of you that makes you peer at things that are greater in a disdain because the fallen created you. But divine had seen fit to say that that energy that's inside of you will find its way out of you, and you will find it as a knowledge to understand that you were manipulated. As a people, even within your creation, you are manipulated. So once you understand that you're manipulated as a creation, you have something truly now to fight for. Not against the creations, but what falsely created you. Now, we 23 minutes in right here. I'm going to go a little bit more because I want to specify on some certain things, but we still got I think this will be part 4 and then part 5 or 6. We might have to do 6 parts just to get it because I still got to talk about the brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like the original people. So they story ain't all that what it's chopped up to be. Believe me, it's not. I've speculated on some of it as I'm going along, but it's not all what it's chopped up to be. So because we're talking about the dilution of greatness. So with the stories of old, the Jesus story, the 2 concepts, the dragons, all these things, these are manifestations of fallen energy, yo. Divine is pure energy. There is nothing that attaches itself to Almighty. Nothing. But when you believe that that's what it is, you have already separated yourself from a pure understanding because you have been indoctrinated to believe that Almighty can be classified. That's the dumbest shit in the world. You will never classify the Almighty. The worst you can do is call it a great name because there's no name that we can create to solidify the Almighty energy. It's nothing that we can say that will classify that. If you were ever able to speak what the Almighty may classify or call itself as, out of your mouth, creation will take place. That's how powerful the almighty energy is. Now, if you have a person walking around calling themselves God, they just somebody that fell here mad because they stuck here, pretty much, and that's it. Divine don't make no mistakes, people do. And the divine seeds that's already here, that's been here to grow here, were messiahs in their own making. They weren't messengers to come bring knowledge and this, that, and the third. They were the energy of divine, period, in a body that would manifest through growing into a light. They would shed the flesh and be a source of energy. Why you think you have radiation burn on the earth? From the divine beings reaching their height of solar energy and leaving the earth. You understand what I'm saying? This is where you get elemental factors. The elemental factors show you that this place can be singed and burned and brought back to life. That is the essence of universal dynamicism or divine purity. So since this place constantly recreates, and then they want to give you the idea of this being a body, you know, Mother Earth, you know, Mayat, Geb, all that, the whole concept. I get it. But you got to concept something. There's not a separation to the seeds and anything else. So those names are only there to separate you from the understanding of the actuality. This is defiling the action. That's like I'll let you believe this while this is going on. This is why we even have government. You know what I'm saying? And that why the government can actually run and do stuff right now is because of this concept of the fallen. They were supposed to be stewards to the seeds. And this is where you even get some of that energy to where you have like some Caucasians want to hang out. And you're like, nah, I'm down. I got you. Don't worry, bro. I'm going to hold it down. You know what I'm saying? That's like that steward trying to come out of them because it was inlaid in them from the fallen. But if they ever see you in a weak energy, it puts them into the beast mode and they start thinking that they can take over. It's like a demon. You know what I'm saying? It's like a actual beast. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you have a lot of the sisters that don't mind, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with interracial because I've been there. But what I'm saying is without true understanding, depending on what you're taking on, it's wrong. And you got to understand what that is. It has to be in the right mentality to take it on. That means the direction that it's going. So it has to be willing to sacrifice for the Almighty first. You see what I'm saying? But ain't nobody teaching this particular knowledge right here. So you have an understanding of what you're really fighting for. You see what I'm saying? So this is why racism is still plentiful today. This is why you have black people that want to stab black people in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, and they are one and the same with the fallen. You see what I'm saying? They're just dressed up in black suit or blackface, literally. But they are because they carry that disdain for their own people. And the best we could do is pray for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we 28 minutes in right now. I'm gonna go ahead and upload number 4 right here, and I'm gonna bring 5 and 6. I might have to do 6 tomorrow because I'm getting tired. But that's really what it is. So watch this till its full totality and understand what you're fighting for. Because even though you don't know where you came from or what created you, that's what created you. And they created you out of the bestiality that they fell from. Or they fell to. Because they fell through characteristics. Like if you listen to the first one, I showed you how, and I told you how they were divine. They were in a divine job position. And then they wanted to go against that. So divine stripped them of all their universal powers, and they fell through down to the lowest aspect of creation, which was an animal. So they had all the animals in them, the beastie beast. You know what I'm saying? So they took parts of themselves to create their own culture, and they kept failing. They kept failing on creating a culture after years after years. I'm about to go into the next one. I got to go into the next one so you can understand how that actually took place.